What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Jake and Chad in the evening, episode 4. I'm Chad.
I'm David Tibbety.
That's right. He is not Jake Razzo.
I am not Jake tonight.
He is not. And that's because, once again, my partner in crime, Jake, is not able to be here tonight. He's got a big exam that he's working on, so best of luck to you on that, buddy. And we'll have you back next week. My buddy David, he is just as qualified to be on the show. He's done his own sports radio show in the past, and I've been a frequent call-in contributor to that before, and I'm excited to talk sports with him.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chad. It's actually been a while since I've been in the studio. Me and Noah Goldstein used to host Goucher Sports Radio.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back in here chatting with you, Chad.
Those are some good times back then.
We got a lot going on in sports, so why don't you get us started with what you wanted to talk about?
Tonight we're going to focus on baseball. Major League Baseball still in the early stages of the season. We're going to talk a little bit about I shouldn't say a little bit. We're going to talk, a decent amount about the NBA playoffs, which are in full swing right now. And we're also going to talk about GSN, which is Goucher Sportsnet. So what's new in baseball right now, David? Why don't you start?
So, baseball, I'm a huge baseball fan. It's exciting to get the season started. Lots of interesting stories with, lots of positive things, negative things. A couple teams not in the same spot as we thought they would be. A couple players not playing for 80 games. One player I can think of, especially not playing for 80 games.
Starling Marte.
Lots of new faces on different teams. A lot more youth on some older teams, and teams that are here and ready to play. A lot. I'm pumped. A little upset. Red Sox got rained out tonight.
I think that's
in
been
the
case
first
a bunch of games across the Eastern Seaboard. Has
I'm sure. I don't know if the O's are playing tonight.
I saw they were supposed to play the Rays. The Marlins are playing in Philly against the Phillies. That game was postponed.
So everything up north on this side is pretty much done for tonight. So not too much actual news going on, but lots of excitement with some younger players and guys like Harper that we knew were gonna crush it every year. But
yeah, you're right.
You don't have to like it, but you gotta respect it.
You're right. There's no doubt that you gotta respect it. He's been having a monster season, so monster start to the year so far. The Nationals are looking on fire.
The Nationals are looking good.
They had it was a couple nights. I think it was Sunday Night Baseball they were playing. They had a big. I was watching the game. They had a big game. Harper's been hitting well. Ryan Zimmerman had a monster blast.
Yeah, one of those the older guys that's been playing a lot better than we thought.
Oh yeah, definitely Ryan Zimmerman. That's one name.
The Cubs, as always, first
they
place.
Destroyed the Pirates last night, 14-3.
Wow, that is a big win right there.
It's huge.
Not too much going on in that. Well, actually, the Rockies are playing really well, and the Giants are not playing too well. That's kind of a flipped of script out of a few things we've seen in the past couple of years.
Well, why don't we talk about Madison Bumgarner, since you mentioned the Giants?
Oh, that's a huge injury there.
It is a massive blow to the Giants, the organization.
He has more home runs than a couple guys on his team. I'm sure most guys on his team, and he's one of the best pitchers in baseball the past 4 or 5 years. That you can send him out there every single day.
He was there in 2010, wasn't he?
He was 14 and he was 12 and 14.
12 and 14. Yeah. Well, he's definitely a guy that he is an ace.
He's the guy that you go out there when you need to stop a streak or you just need the win. So that'll be huge.
He's even the guy you send out there when you need run support.
Exactly.
Hitting. He can do it all. The guy had 2 homers on opening day.
Yeah,
and
that's
he became
insane.
The first pitcher to hit 2 homers on opening day in the same game.
So now let me ask you this, Chad.
Fire away.
I just confirmed this. It was something I thought I knew before, but I just wanted to double-check it. This was a non-baseball injury.
Yeah, that's right. Reports came in that it was on an off day for the team. He got hurt at the end of a dirt biking session.
So, okay, if you are a Giants fan, how do you feel about that? I'm going to ask you a follow-up. But as a Giants fan, how would you feel about that?
Giants fan, I'd be pissed.
But and then obviously, if it's a non-baseball injury, if it's a baseball injury, you got to just say,
either way,
that's tough. But now that it's
an injury is an injury, and if you're a fan of the team the player who got injured, that's a big loss, especially with a guy like him. But when you say non-baseball injury, if it's something that could have been,
avoided,
it has to be broken down to this. Here's what it comes down to, because you can have a non-baseball injury that wasn't avoidable. That could be totally out. It wasn't your fault. I remember back a couple of years ago, Clint Barnes, when he was playing with the Rockies. I remember reading that he broke his collarbone because he slipped while carrying groceries into his house. Now things like that, that's just on. That's going to happen. But with this injury in particular, it's a non-baseball injury, but it could have been avoided. Madison Bumgarner, especially during the season, there's no need for him to be out on an off day dirt biking, doing something
dangerous,
that he could
reckless,
potentially die. Yeah,
right, and that's something you never want to see, obviously. But and then as the manager, as Bruce Bochy or officials with the team, how do you feel about that? Do you issue something to your team? Do you say, hey guys, none of this? He's the star. He's the face of the franchise. You don't want to shun him. You don't want to embarrass him. But there's something has to be learned here.
Well, with every, for I'm gonna sound kind of nerdy here, but for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and sometimes that reaction is greater. But there needs to be some sort of repercussion for his actions, and I don't know yet if the team has.
It could be all internally. Maybe we'll never know.
There's a very good chance we may not know, and yeah, they could suspend him internally, but who knows if they will do that because of the amount of time that he's going to have to miss with this injury
and how key of a player he is.
That could be a suspension in and of itself. I definitely would issue a statement to the team saying, "There's what happened. Look at this and learn from it. Don't do anything stupid, and we move on. We're not gonna hate the guy. It's just an example. This is an example you have to look at, and you have to learn from it. It's a learning experience, not just for Bumgarner himself, but for the entire team." So, what about you? It's.
I agree. I think you can't. I think you have to keep it all internal. You don't want it. You don't. This isn't go out to the public. This is you sitting down with him, saying, "Hey, you know what? Look how much you do it in a positive way. You say, hey, Madison, this is how much you mean to this organization. You've won us, championships. You're the guy to go to in literally almost every situation, as you mentioned before. This happens. It's okay. We're over it. But you got to learn. You got to say this is not something we do with this organization. We are a winning organization. They are. They're one of the greatest, organizations of this decade, just based on their winning. Oh, yeah. So you got to say to him, hey, we love you. This is never going to happen again.
You're not exempt from the rules. Just
right. Just because you're a superstar doesn't mean you go out and do whatever you want.
I don't think that he thinks of himself like that.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think he does. I think this is.
I think he's a very humble guy.
I think he's made an honest mistake, and he's going to learn from it. I saw a little thing on Last Night on Baseball Tonight on ESPN. He issued a statement, and he said, I was, clearly I shouldn't have been doing it, and I didn't think it was going to happen, but hey, it did, and I have to learn from it. And this is the consequence.
It might just be that might be the big enough consequence on its own that he's not.
If it happens again, then there has to be. Then there has to be like a.
Or even like the chance of an injury again, where he's almost injured, or his friend was injured, or something.
Exactly.
Not that those things get out.
It's kind of it, and so just one last thing. It's almost. It's kind of like with what happened to Jose Fernandez. He died because he could have, whether it was a serious injury or in his case death. He was out doing something on an off day that he shouldn't have been doing. So things. It's a lesson to be learned from this.
Yeah, it's tough when I've never been in that position. You've never been in. We likely will never be in those positions to be looked at as heroes from, people around the country. Yeah. So who knows how these people are feeling, but it's tough to see as a fan, especially if a fan of the game, where I like seeing Madison Bumgarner hit home runs and strike everybody out.
I'm not necessarily a Giants fan. I'm a
baseball fan.
Marlins and the Red Sox, but I love watching the Giants play. They are a fun team to watch play, especially Bumgarner. He's phenomenal to watch. Well, on both sides, on offense and defense. So, anyway.
So let's move on. A little more baseball. Let's talk about the O's, man. They're hot right now.
They are.
It's they just took 2 out of 3 out of the Red Sox. They are. I guess they got postponed tonight, but they
Yeah.
went up to Toronto. Toronto's struggling, but you still got to win. You still got to play baseball.
Yeah.
And took 2 out of 3 there. Going back a little more, they were in Cincinnati and had a good series. So they're just out here, balling out. I think their pitchers are really working. I was listening to an interview with the GM and how the pitching coach and Wellington Castillo and Joseph, the starting catcher,
Caleb Joseph.
Joseph, have really been working with the pitchers, and Dylan Bundy, the ace, has really stepped up, and all those guys.
How about Jimenez? Was it the other week? He had a monster game. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I
He had a
didn't.
monster game. It was. I'm not saying he's going to do that consistently, but he looked like the Ubaldo Jimenez that almost won the Cy Young back a couple years ago.
Yeah, so they're good right now. They're gonna heat up. That AL East it's gonna be a good AL East. I'm excited about that.
The AL East is competitive right now, and as much as I hate to say it, the Yankees,
They're good.
they are good. And like you were saying earlier, some young guys on typically older teams. I think that's an example, right? The prime example.
That was
of what we're talking
was my example. Yeah, the Yankees, and those guys are good. You got to
They
give it
are.
up to them.
We both strongly dislike the Yankees.
But you got to be smart there. Now looking at a team that normally is so hot that is struggling, Kansas City.
Yeah.
Last place.
And,
Behind the Twins. Who's behind the Twins? No one's behind the
That's
Twins.
a
The Twins
shock.
were predicted they're in their ultimate rebuilding stage of all time, and Kansas City is behind them. Obviously, we're 2 weeks into the season, but it's every game is gonna be harder to turn it around to get back in it.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right. I look at, like, I was talking to one of my friends earlier today. Another situation with a team like that, the Mets. They're in last place in the NL East, and they're behind the Phillies.
Right. I think that's the same
sad.
situation.
That's sad.
The Mets are actually not. Well, Atlanta's in last place.
Sorry,
but
Atlanta.
You would think that.
But still, the Mets behind
You would
the
think the
Phillies?
Mets would be pushing to have a really good season this year.
They
So,
just can't stay healthy. That's been the issue for them. That was the issue for them the last couple of years. Even when they were making it to the World Series, they can't stay healthy.
So we're just going through all the divisions
Yeah.
here. The one guys we haven't hit are the AL West, and we got Houston in first place. Not too, untypical.
Yeah.
Oakland up there,
Well,
second place.
Speaking of Houston, apparently,
Yeah, this was
Jose
big.
Altuve,
I'm just watching it right now.
yeah, and Teoscar Hernandez collided and both exited the game after
Yeah,
this collision.
it looks like Hernandez accidentally hit Altuve
Let's take a look.
with his head. Here we go. I'll get it for you.
You know what? I'll pull it up, and we'll listen. We'll listen into this video. Let's see. All right, we're gonna take a listen.
We got this on your computer. Here we go. Let's check it out.
Broke his bat. And it's a collision.
Wow.
Yeah, so it looks like his head. Let's see that again, Chad. Looks like his hand hit his head.
Ooh.
A glove to the head.
And it's a
Whoa, that is scary right there.
Down, he looks like he's hurt.
I'm sure they'll give us a
See the
here's the
slow-mo.
replay.
Hernandez came in for
Ooh, that's a head-to-head.
That is a head-to-head. So that's a little concussion watch, but also just the pure speed. How Altuve is a fast
Altuve-
guy.
Both these guys are solidly built. Wow, Altuve looked like Hernandez caught the top of Altuve's head under his chin.
Yeah.
And according to this, Altuve walked off the field on his own power, but Hernandez was carted off.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's a
Looks
scary
like he's sitting up, though, but definitely in pain.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see how that plays on. The Astros are in first place. A's a few games behind them. The A's actually just have won, just lost last night, but won 6 in a row.
Wow, that's a good. That's
so
good
that's
for
a little
them.
surprising. That's a young team that
Definitely.
has been working hard. So lots of excitement going on for baseball as we move forward.
Last point I want to talk about.
sorry.
Last point I want to talk about is some big news. The Marlins, my hometown team, the Miami
Your
Marlins. My Marlins, that's right. Today, it was announced that the group, it was a Jeter and Jeb Bush joint venture of some kind, won the bid to buy the Marlins. And I think it's about time that Jeffrey Loria sells the team. He's a scumbag. We talked about this last week when my dad called in the show. Loria has no idea how to run a team. and he's like the Jerry Jones of Major League Baseball.
Gets lucky every once in a while.
Exactly. You know, he's after the winning season we had in 03, he cut the entire team in a massive fire sale, and he fired Joe Girardi after he won Manager of the Year. Even with a sub 500 record, the guy has no idea what he's doing. He hires Ozzie Guillen back a couple of years ago. Huge mistake. So anyway, I think that
is big news though.
That is huge.
Thanks for updating us
Jeter
there.
to buy a team. It's interesting to see how he'll run a team. I think he would do a great job though.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so let's move on. Your show. I mean, you ready to move on? Let me know what we're doing next.
I'm ready. I am.
You're ready. Sounds. I'm just. I'm in the moment. I love doing sports. I love talking sports.
We talk sports all the time.
Let's do. Let me get a chance to talk about some GSN real quick, because that's a good segue right there.
I agree.
So GSN, if you haven't heard, is the Goucher Sports Network, just up and running this past year. We're doing broadcasts of all spring field games, which has been men's and women's lacrosse. We did basketball, and in the fall we're going to be leading in. We're going to be doing soccer, basketball, and the field sport, field hockey as well. I won't be here. Chad won't be here either. Chad has helped out on some good basketball games, though.
Yeah, that's right, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. I called a couple of games in the year before with David and with Noah, but this year, doing it in the format that we did, it was very, very official, very professional, well done. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast doing it. Big Ed and I, Ed Oliver, Goucher legend. We filled in a couple of times for David and Gianni, who are great at what they do, and it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. So if you're listening out there, we're actually looking to fill in my spot for the team. So head over to the athletic department, tell them you're interested, and they will give you an interview.
Even I talked to Brandon, told him I was interested in potentially, maybe doing something for a little bit next year.
Let him know.
Yeah,
let's do it.
So if you're interested, that's right.
Yeah.
David said it's a lot of fun. And, I think you said something about getting like a sports talk show going on.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say is the Goucher Sports Network weekly updates. We've been working on those, Gianni and myself, just having to do a bunch of run-throughs before we're ready to post, and a lot of editing work that we want to make sure that's really good and it's going to be approved by the athletic department. But that's going to be a weekly sports update about the Gophers. That's something we've had some broadcasts in the past. Noah Goldstein worked on those, but this is something totally new for Goucher College. What do you think that brings to the table?
It brings a lot. It brings a lot to the table. I think we're going to see a lot more interest in Goucher athletics, from students and potentially even from the local community of Towson.
That's what our goal. Our goal was to bring the community together and bring in prospective students. Say, hey, you know what? Hey, Chad, look at this cool tennis player. Chad, he gets to come on the show with us. Hey, I want to go Goucher and play tennis and get on their show. So that's the goal there. So if you have any ideas there, or if you want to be on that as well,
it's going to be a huge boost for Goucher athletics and for the college in general. Because people are going to want to come to, when the teams are doing well, and people coming out to the events and supporting the teams, that's going to only motivate us to do better. And some media coverage is it's going to be great. The athlete, I think, and not myself aside, I am a student athlete here, but I think for everyone else, it'd be nice to have some coverage for our teams.
Definitely, and I'm not an athlete, and I love to work on that, and I do love broadcasting, so it was a lot of fun. I just did my last game on Saturday. Unfortunately, a men's lacrosse overtime loss.
It was tough.
So that was a very tough loss, but it was very fun to do.
Yeah,
you can check out us.
Are we going to get any coverage of tennis matches?
I actually have made the effort to try to get that.
You saying something about that.
Talked to a few people. The issue is we don't have enough outlets outside. There's nowhere to put the camera, and we would be too loud. But I would love to do it. We're definitely going to keep updating you guys on tennis on our GSN shows to practice that. So there it is there. Chad, I have to head out. I have a intramural soccer semi-final game at 10 o'clock I have to go get ready for. So is there we got a couple minutes if you want to talk about anything else real quick.
Well, before
I'm sure you have plenty to talk about on your own.
We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. I just want to remind to our listeners out there, just want to remind you, if you want to call in or if you have any questions or comments that you want to, or anything you want us to hear us talk about on the show, or I guess need to talk about on the show once David leaves, feel free to call or text me. You should call my cell phone number, send me something on Instagram, Facebook Messenger, you name it. Anyway, moving on. NBA playoffs.
Well, let's just do. Here, I'm gonna give you the
We'll do a
the
little
update,
rundown?
the live update.
Go ahead.
And then you finish it off, and I'll head out of here.
Take it away.
So right now, halftime. That score can't be correct because there's only. Oh, these are the seeds. Yeah. So
I was gonna say.
that didn't make sense. The score said it was 5-3 at halftime, and I didn't believe that at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe that. That no.
54 Oklahoma City, 51 Houston. So the Rockets have the lead at halftime. That'll be a good game. The only other game going on right now just started about 5 minutes left in the first.
Memphis and San
Antonio. I don't know what that series is at. Do you know?
Let's take a look.
Don't want to seem unknowledgeable here, but I've only really been following the Warriors and the Celtics, who lost and are going to win.
Yeah. Let's see. Where is this? You know what? I got an idea. NBA, play home.
But the playoffs, so far some good
Interesting.
storylines. This whole Rondo thing, getting
Houston.
hurt, and then the tripping with Crowder.
Yeah.
That series is good. First time that in an NBA series that the home team lost both games.
Yeah.
The first two home games since what year? Trivia on Chad.
I have a feeling this is going to be the 05-06.
L5. There you go.
Is this 05-06 when the Heat went
I don't think
down
it's
in
the Heat.
finals?
I think it was first round. I think it was maybe San Antonio in there. I don't remember, but I know it's 2005.
The 2005-2006 NBA season?
Yeah.
Because the Heat were down in the finals to the Mavericks, and they had a big comeback, and we ended up winning. Why don't you look that up real quick? Right now, I'm looking at it. The series scores for Memphis and San Antonio, the Western Conference first round, is currently tied at two games apiece. And the Thunder and the Rockets. So Houston leads that series 3-1. So this is a must-win tonight for the Thunder, clearly.
Duh.
Yeah, I mean, wait a second. Yeah, sorry. That was a must-win for them. So the Jazz and the Clippers are tied at two games apiece as well, and that is the other game. That's the third game on tonight's schedule, and that is at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time.
That's gonna come in late to us.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, what would you say is the biggest surprise of the playoffs so far?
That's a good question. Like I said, I haven't been following too much other than my two teams, but I'm going to try to think of a good answer for you here.
My answer would have to be the Jazz. The Utah Jazz. They're playing well. They haven't been in the playoffs in I don't know how many years. I don't think anyone really thinks of the Jazz of having
Like a big playoff team. Yeah,
since
that's
the
true.
mailman Karl Malone and John Stockton back in the 90s, when they were competing with the Bulls. So that's the last time I can think of. But Gordon Hayward, he's
I got mine for you too.
He's doing good. He's doing some good things right now with them. So, well, go ahead. Take it.
I think mine's the Grizzlies tied up series now with the Spurs.
Yeah, the
Spurs are
a good one
kind of
too.
the opposite. The Spurs are the team you think you always dominate, and here are the Grizzlies coming in there. A team that has made the 8 seed, 7 seed the past 2-3 years, and always had faced the Warriors, and now they're
anywhere with it.
Now they're at a chance where they can beat the 2 seed, the Spurs,
and
go somewhere with it. So
that would be a huge win for them.
Yeah. So that game
finally making it somewhere past the first round. And David Fizdale, we talked about him last week on the show. He was not happy with how he felt. He and his team were being portrayed. In terms of him being a rookie head coach and all. But he's learned well over in his years with the Heat as an assistant coach, and he's doing good things with that Grizzlies team. I thought that was a great hire for the Grizzlies, and he deserved it.
Well, I always, aside from my own teams, I always like to root for those upsets.
Yeah, no, I like rooting for the underdog.
So I'm going for them. They're tied 14-14 with about 4 minutes left. But with that, Chad, thanks so much for having me. I'm gonna head out. Good luck on the rest of your show.
David, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and
anytime, Chad.
All right, man. You have a good night and good luck in that intramural soccer semifinal. So,
Thank you,
folks. It's back to me. Have a good night, bud.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you. So now, just have me. I'm gonna take a small break here, I think, and actually, we're going to keep talking some basketball. Once again, if you have any callers, feel free to call in, talk about anything that you want to hear. So in other news, you'll look at there's some college football news coming in from the University of Miami. I got a text today from my mom, with a link to an article. One of our QBs, he's decided he's a redshirt sophomore. He's announced that he's going to transfer, and so which means that he's no longer in the running, obviously, for the starting quarterback job for next season. We have multiple guys competing for that job after Brad Kaya left and declared for the NFL draft. Brad Kaya was a junior last year. He essentially became one of the top passers in school history. He was always one of the top passers in the ACC in his career at Miami, and and there's definitely NFL potential there. I don't think that he's ready for the NFL, but I think that one more year would have done good things for him, for his development, and also potentially could have been a college football playoff team with the pieces he has around him and with the coaching staff. Mark Richt coming into his second year at the University of Miami, his alma mater, and he was a winning coach in the SEC at Georgia. I think that with one more year with Mark Richt and with the talent that he has around him, on the wings and his running backs, he could have done some big things. Who knows? Maybe even potential Heisman hopeful. I'm not saying a Heisman candidate, but maybe a hopeful. Who knows? Because he's solid. He's got a big arm. He's smart, accurate. He knows how to read defenses. Anyway, right now it looks like the quarterback competition. It's an open race right now. Take a look at this article that we have. I believe Malik Rozier is still. I think he's still the front runner. Anyway, according to Local 10, that is the ABC News affiliate for my hometown, Miami, redshirt freshman Jack Allison is no longer in the running for the starting quarterback job at the University of Miami. He now said he has decided to transfer, which leaves. Let's see here. So that leaves redshirt junior Malik Rozier, redshirt sophomore Evan Sharifs, redshirt junior Vincent Testaverde, and true freshman Cade Weldon. That leaves those, quarterbacks in the running for the starting job. Now, I do believe Malik Rozier is the front runner. He started a few games, not last season, but not this past season, but the season before. So last year, the 2015-2016 season, he started a few games in place of an injured Brad Kaya. Kaya got knocked out of the game against Clemson, which was, that was a very bad game for us. It was our worst loss in school history. And Rozier came in, did what he could. Nothing really happened. He came in the next week, started against Duke in what would end in a game that would be decided on a huge play. And it was, it drew comparisons to the, I think it was Cal and Stanford back in the 80s. There was just it was a incredibly strange kickoff return that Miami ran back for a touchdown. That game was, and the referees, the officials for that game ended up being suspended by the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, and by the NCAA because, there was a block in the back on that play. I won't lie. I saw it with my own eyes. But to be fair, the referees the entire game were making absolute terrible calls. They wouldn't have even had that return had it not been for a call that was made by the referees to not overturn play and call touchdown for Duke on the previous drive. Point being, Rozier played well in that game. He got hurt early in the game, but came back in, and he had a solid game. And that was also he was playing under he was an assistant, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but he was a tight ends coach who was promoted to interim head coach and finished out the season, as best he could with some good wins. So anyway, Rozier's competing, and then I believe Testaverde's probably the second, he's probably second in the running behind Rozier Testaverde, of course, being the son of former Miami Hurricanes great and Heisman Trophy winner Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde, he played all over the place in the NFL. I believe he flew for over 40,000 passing yards in the NFL in his career, and he set a couple records, including some age records in the NFL and streaks that he had. And let me think here. He's probably the last, actually really good quarterback at the end that Miami produced who played in the NFL. I mean, him and Bernie Kosar are the last two quarterbacks to come out of the University of Miami who really did anything in the NFL. As much as it pains me to say, and he still is. He will always be one of my favorite players. But my favorite player as a kid growing up was Ken Dorsey. All my friends and I wanted to be like Kenny Dorsey because he was the man in college. As my dad calls me, he's a thinking man's quarterback. And Dorsey didn't do anything in the NFL. And now, in the last couple of years, he's become the quarterback's coach for the Carolina Panthers. So he's coaching Cam Newton, essentially. But aside from that, and a couple of games with the Browns and the 49ers, he didn't do anything. Brock Berlin didn't do anything in the NFL. Kirby Freeman hasn't done anything. Robert Marv, Corey Harris, they haven't done anything in the NFL. I think Corey Harris played a few games in the CFL. He's a bum. He was terrible in college. He was hyped up as a Heisman candidate, potential Heisman candidate. Guy had way too many interceptions. You just lob the ball up there. And Travis Benjamin, who's a good receiver in the NFL, at times I think he had more tackles than some of his teammates who were on the defensive side of the ball. That's how bad Corey Harris was. Anyway, I digress. Quarterback competition for the University of Miami is wide open. I still think we're gonna be good next year. We have a solid year. We got a bunch of guys coming back in, and it's gonna be fun to watch. So, as far as, let's see what else we have here. NFL draft is coming up in, I believe, the 29th. Take a look here. The 2017 NFL draft will start. Let's see what day it starts. Well, we'll come back to the draft news soon because, some big NFL news. Adrian Peterson, the Heisman Trophy winner and standout at the University of Oklahoma, who came in and dominated the league with the Minnesota Vikings. He missed last year with another ACL injury. He was released by the team a couple months ago, and he is reportedly plans to sign with the New Orleans Saints. And it looks as though that deal has gone through. Adrian Peterson signs deal with Saints. Will share backfield duties with Mark Ingram, and we'll listen in to a clip from ESPN.com on the subject. Here we go.
Spoke to Peterson himself this morning. What did he have to say?
Well, Randy, he told me that he is planning to sign with the New Orleans Saints. And how's that for a headline for somebody like Adrian Peterson, who spent all of his career in Minnesota with the Vikings? The deal is not finalized at this point, but he told me that he's agreed to a 2-year deal that has a base value worth of $7 million that effectively can work as a 1+1 deal. There's $3.5 million guaranteed at signing. And the reason why we're saying that 1+1 as of right now is because in 2018, there's a $750,000 roster bonus that can be earned in the third day of free agency, which technically at this point the Saints can get out of. But let me tell you, when I talked to Adrian this morning, he said, I'm excited for this opportunity. The reason why I picked the Saints, Josine, is because he said it just felt like the right fit. I prayed with my family. I prayed with my wife. They had the same sentiments. He told me that Coach Sean Payton called him yesterday about 3 times, just making sure everything was still good.
So there you have it. Adrian Peterson signed with the New Orleans Saints. That's a big signing right there for the Saints. And after last season, they had a rough year. This could be really good for them. And let's see what the details of the contract. We have them right here. Let's see. He said Peterson, he told ESPN's Josina Anderson that he signed a 2-year deal worth $7 million. And he said that he's agreed to 2017 compensation of $3.5 million, all guaranteed at signing, which includes a $1 million guaranteed salary in 2017 and a $2.5 million signing bonus. There you have it. So, let's see. We'll look at the NFL draft, which is coming up. I'm excited. It should be an interesting one. Everyone says that every year, but it is definitely going to be an interesting draft this year. I think it potentially could be a very quarterback-heavy draft, at least early on. There's a lot of guys coming out of college who had very good careers in college as quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, that's a big name right there. Who knows how Brad Kyle he'll fall in the draft? I hope he does well. Being my guy from the Canes. Let's see who else. Mitch Trubisky from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He only started 1 year, but he was phenomenal for the Tar Heels. In the games that he's played for them. And it's going to be a good one. See, the NFL draft comes to you on. Let's see, why can't I find the date? Here we go. It starts 2 days from now on Thursday, April 27th, and will continue until Saturday, April 29th. So tune in for that. And we'll definitely be talking a lot about that next week. We're going to shift gears here to hockey. Well, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest hockey fan, but I like watching it every once in a while. I pay attention to it during the playoffs, which is where they are right now. The Stanley Cup playoffs are going on. And, I mean, my team, the Panthers, they're not in it, obviously. I would be making a lot more noise if they were. But that's just, for the most part, how it goes as a Panthers fan. Made the playoffs a couple times in the last few years. We'll take a look at the power rankings. Or let's see if there's any big headlines. Here we go. You'll look at the power rankings first. Let's see. So after round 1, which had a record 18 overtime games, it's just for the playoffs, it's a record right there. It's pretty big. After that round, Pittsburgh Penguins come in as the top seed at number 1 in the power rankings. Number 2 is the Anaheim Ducks. Following them is the Nashville Predators, the St. Louis Blues, and the Washington Capitals. Let's see what we have. Is this playoff power rankings? See, this I know I sound like a novice when it comes to talking about hockey. I apologize for that, but I do have some interest in it right now. So right now we're in second round is starting. Within the next few days or so. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Washington Capitals will be playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. And they start that series on April 27th at 7:30 p.m., so that's this coming Thursday. And that'll be at 7:30 p.m., coming to you live from Washington, D.C., where they'll play the first 2 games. And then they'll take it up to Pittsburgh on Monday, May 1st. So then you have the Ottawa Senators versus New York Rangers. That also starts on Thursday. And speaking of which, we have our first call-in. It is my good buddy out in California, Bradley Hostetler. We'll hear what he has to say. Bradley, how you doing? You're on the air. How you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm on the air?
Yes, indeed you are. You're live on the air.
All right, sweet. Long-time listener. Man, hey, all right. So you're talking about hockey, and I'm a regional Southern California guy, and I'm just very stoked for my Ducks heading into round 2.
True.
Got the Edmonton Oilers, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct, my friend. That series starts tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. on the East Coast, it looks like, so that'll be 7:30 your time.
Yeah, so I'll be all right. I'll be up for that one, no doubt.
Oh, no doubt at all. It's a good yard.
Looking all right. I mean, the Sharks are a pretty tough opponent. I hate to say it. I really just can't get around to liking the Sharks at all. But happy the Oilers made it through. I'll take the Ducks facing the Oilers over Ducks Sharks any day, because that's a big rivalry and anything could really happen.
Of course.
But man, also very stoked for the draft. I heard you touched over that. That could be a great one.
Anything in particular you're looking for out of the draft? You're a Michigan fan. There's some news about Jabril Peppers. Would you like to talk on that?
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited for Jabril, but I'd like to say I'm pretty heartbroken about my guy Jake Butt, the tight end, tearing his ACL during the bowl game.
Oh, that's right, he did. That was a huge loss.
Yeah, that really hurt prospects. But yeah, excited to see where Jabril ends up. Really couldn't tell you where. But I'm very excited for my Cleveland Browns to really do some good business this week and hopefully just really start to rebuild that franchise, because it's really heartbreaking to see how far they've fallen.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're both fans of teams that have, in recent years, have had very rough times. You know, I'm a Dolphins fan. You know, finally starting to pick it up. You being a Rams fan now.
Exactly. So I think I need to find myself a bandwagon. Yeah, maybe I'll have to be a Cubs fan this year or something.
Hey.
I'll figure it out. But yeah, it's not been fun for me.
No, I completely understand. You know, in terms of, do you think that Jake Butt's stock is going to go down that much? Despite with this injury, I mean, injuries can make or break a career, even before the career starts. You know, do you think it's going to have that type of impact on it?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, when I've been researching it, I see Jake Butt much further than he should be, because I think that guy's immensely talented. I would say he was the best tight end in the Big Ten, which is a very, very respectful conference days.
It is one of the biggest conferences in all of sports, especially football.
Very exciting. Jehu Chesson, the receiver, I think he's looking to be drafted.
Yeah.
I think they're keeping their other good receiver, Amari Darby. That guy's gnarly. But yeah, I'm excited. Taco Charlton on the D-line, that guy's insane.
Oh yeah.
He'll end up.
He's a good player. He was solid. He was terrorizing everyone last year.
Yeah.
And what a name too.
Mhm.
So.
Good program. Excited to have Harbaugh there.
Yeah. No, he's
going to be a good couple of weeks.
He's building that program back up.
My Pelicans couldn't pull off the magic run and get into the playoffs, but they've been a fun team to watch after the All-Star break.
Oh yeah, that Boogie Cousins signing is huge. You know, you got him and AD in there, two of the league's top big men.
Towers, yeah.
You know, DeMarcus Cousins bringing the ball up court. It's fun to watch him do that, and he just brings a lot of energy to wherever he goes. You know, there's some controversy with him as well, with all of his habit of arguing with officials and then getting called for text and then ejected. But sometimes that could be good for a team. You know, where do you see them next year? How do you see the outlook is positive for them next year?
Definitely. I think they the last couple months of the season was very positive for them. I think they're looking to kind of continue that sort of form.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see them in the playoffs. There were a couple moments where it looked like it might have been possible, but I would like to see how the rest of the West ends up at the start of next season.
Okay. Do you have a NBA Finals? Do you have a Finals prediction?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, soft spot for Cleveland. A lot of family from Cleveland. What are the Chicago and Boston at? What's that series at right now?
Let's see. I think it's at 2-2 now, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, because Boston had this big turnaround.
Boston haven't really been convincing me. We got Oklahoma City and Houston right now. I'm frankly shocked that the Rockets are up. Well,
with the Rockets, I think James Harden has you could say Westbrook, Harden, could talk about them too the whole time, but when it comes down to it, I think the Rockets have a better supporting cast.
I think, I would give that to you for sure.
That's a big part of it. And, Russell Westbrook the other night, shutting down a reporter who kept asking questions, because when Westbrook isn't on the floor is when they really struggled. And they asked Steven Adams a question. Westbrook went all over it saying, enough of this, enough of that. We're a team. We play together as a team. We win, we lose together if I'm on or off the floor. Did you see any of that? Do you have any comments on that?
No, dude, I haven't really been watching full games.
No, I mean, it was just in his post-game conference.
Just for that comment, I mean, I'm happy to hear him kind of treating the situation like that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it as well. And as far as team goes, it shows where his values are, which is a good thing. I mean, obviously you want to be winning, but that shows, it shows something there, some character. So.
All right, I got an exciting question for you. This kind of brings me back to Southern California.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, so we're talking baseball now. Angels baseball.
Oof.
What do the Angels need to do to keep Mike Trout in Southern California? Because I think that guy is just far too good for the Angels right now.
Yeah, that's.
Where do we need to finish to hold on to Trout, or do we just need to get some big money in?
Trout's been a topic of conversation on the show the last couple of weeks. They need to win. They just need, they need to make it to the playoffs. They need to, they really need to, bring in some more pieces to build a team around him. He is the best player in baseball, without a doubt, right now. And, like you said, he could definitely be playing somewhere else for a lot more money. But if they, for one thing, I guess if they really want to keep him, then they'll offer more money. But I think he's a guy who also wants to be on a winning team. So that's the bottom line right there, is they need to win. They're 9-12 right now. They're, 5.5 games back behind the Astros who are currently in first in the AL West. Oakland is second, which is they're at 10-9 right now, and the Rangers are at 9-11, and at the bottom of the pack is Seattle 8-12. But the Angels, if they can get hot, get a good streak going, and then keep it there consistently, play good baseball. And if they can make a run for the playoffs, potentially make it to past the make it to the if they make it to the ALCS, that would be huge.
Yeah, I think that keeps them.
That would definitely be. I think that would bring Trout back at least for another few years. So
I'd love to see him still hanging out.
He's fun to watch. He is something else, man. I'll tell you, he can do everything. And the guy, he's got incredible speed. Smart baseball player. He's a real 5-tool ball player.
Yeah, big up.
So, anything else that you'd like to talk about on the show, or any other questions? Anything else you'd like to comment on?
I'm excited to get some European soccer eventually. Maybe not this week, but it's always a good option.
Well, as far as stuff we're talking about on the radio show.
Well, I don't know. I just you only stay in a national with this one.
No. It's funny because and it looks like it will be next week or potentially even later this week if we do another show. But one of my teammates, my teammate Frankie Molinix, he's going to be on the show, and the stuff that he follows. He's a big soccer fan. He follows a lot of Premier League stuff, and so. He follows La Liga and the Bundesliga and Premier, Barclays Premier League. So he'll be on the show. We're going to talk about that more with him. So definitely tune in for that.
Yeah, next week you got the Champions League semifinals are beginning, if I'm not mistaken. Those are going to be awesome games.
That's right. I saw there was a couple of big games this past weekend. I know.
Yeah, Chelsea had a big game today. There was FA Cup, which is the national tournament within England, FA Cup.
Right.
Semifinals, I want to say. I think it's going to be Chelsea Arsenal, I think, for the final.
That's going to be big.
Like that. Mm-hmm. So that could be cool. I'm not sure when that game is. Probably sometime in May.
Okay.
But yeah, looking forward to it all.
Cool. Well, anything else, or is that anything that about wraps it up for you?
No, I think I'm about ready to sign off, man. Yeah.
Well, Bradley, it has been great having you on. We appreciate you, constantly tuning in every, week after week to the show, and we appreciate, getting your contributions via text message and all that, and to finally have you on the show, as a call-in.
Yeah, it's been exciting.
It's been fun. Hey, that's right. Go Gophers, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And well, enjoy the rest of the show. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, buddy.
All right. Zip.
Peace. All right. Okay, so I hope that was my friend Bradley Hostetler. He's out in California at California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo, California, and it's always good to hear from him. We talk a lot. We talk a lot of sports, a lot of things, and actually, a little backstories for him. Met him last summer in England during study abroad, and he and my other teammate Bardia, we formed a little thing called USB, the United States of Bardia, and Bardia is he's the BOTUS, the Bardia of the United States, and we are Secret Service. So we have our little group, and ever since then, now we just talk sports a lot of the time. So he's definitely a good person to have on the show, and we appreciate you calling in. It was a lot of fun talking with you. And like I said, tune in next week, or for the next episode, I'll let you know when that is, because we will definitely be talking about some soccer, European soccer in particular. Anyway, moving on. If there are any other callers, by all means, please, we'll take any callers. Call in to the show. And, yeah. So I think we're going to... he posed an interesting question as well about Mike Trout, because Jake and I have talked about Trout over the last couple of weeks, and when we had Mike Herman on the show, Sexy Herman, when he was on the show with us, we talked a good deal about Trout as well. Because Bradley, you're right, they do need to do something if they're going to keep him. And I think that I definitely think that he's loyal to the organization, but at the same time, the best player in the league, and not being on a team that's doing well for the last couple of years. Eventually everybody has a potential breaking point. And I don't think the Angels want to find out what that point will be. I think they want to do whatever they can to keep him. And the bottom line is they need to win games. They really do. That's all there is to it. So we'll see how that goes. The A's are the Oakland A's, the Athletics. They've had a good start to the season. They had, over a few years ago, there was no doubt that they were a playoff team, and then it started to die down over the last couple of years. They had Yoenis Cespedes spearheading everything for them, and he was phenomenal with them. He had, that's when he really broke out into the league. He won a home run derby as a member of the A's. He was crushing bombs all over the place. And he's just fun to watch. He's still fun to watch. He's bounced around the league a couple of places. He was in Boston for a while, and now he's been with the Mets now for the last, since 2 years ago now, when they made that World Series run. He went to the Mets from the Sox. And when he's healthy, he is a threat offensively and defensively. The guy has a cannon for an arm. I've seen him make some spectacular throws, spectacular putouts. Absolutely crazy throws from deep corner of left field, to home plate on the fly, which is quite a sight to see. So that'd be interesting to see how the A's do. They like I said, they were being led by Cespedes, and Josh Donaldson was leading. Was a big fixture of that team too. He was, he's a all-star third baseman, he's a power hitter. He's good defensively. He's with the Blue Jays right now. Part of an absolutely crazy, well, at least last year in particular, crazy lineup, crazy batting order. You had Edwin Encarnacion, you had Troy Tulowitzki, Jose Bautista, and Josh Donaldson. That's having those guys in your lineup back to back to back to back. That's a scary sight right there. I don't care who you are. That was a scary sight. They are that was a power lineup right there. And the A's haven't been that good since then. They got a couple big pitchers that year. I remember. I think they got Jeff Samardzija, and they even got John Lester after his time with the Sox. And then he went from there over to the Cubs, won another World Series ring. He won one with them last year. And we'll see how the A's do. The Astros have been on the rise the last couple of years, spearheaded by Jose Altuve. Spearheaded by him and Dallas Keuchel, who was 2 years ago was one of the best pitchers in the league, and he's starting to really he's pitching well right now, and he's fun to watch too. Hopefully, as we talked, we mentioned earlier that scene with the collision with Jose Altuve and Teoscar, what's his name, and Hernandez. Hopefully everything's okay there. We don't know too much about that. We'll give you a little score update across the major leagues right now. Once again, the Miami Marlins playing up in Philly against the Phillies, and that game has been postponed until further date. The Yankees and Red Sox are in Boston for a series right now, and that is a rivalry of rivalries right there. And that game has unfortunately been postponed. Chicago at Pittsburgh, that's a decent rivalry right there. A much, not nearly as bad of a loss for the Pirates. They lost 14-3 last night. And it was on Monday Night Baseball. I was watching that. Tonight, there's a much more, modest 1-0 victory for the Cubs. And we have an update from Detroit. In the bottom of the 7th, the Tigers are up 16-6 on the Mariners. And yes, once again, 16-6. It's a 10-run lead. And there's one out right now in the bottom of the 7th. In Milwaukee, the Brewers are up 9-0 on the Reds, and the Reds have not been able to find anything. They've not had anything going for them in recent years, aside from Joey Votto and Todd Frazier, Brandon Phillips, and Billy Hamilton. They had Johnny Cueto for a while. They had Homer Bailey, who threw a no-hitter or two, I remember. Other than that, though, they haven't had any real massive success as a team. They haven't made it anywhere far. Todd Frazier's gone. Joey Votto, he's still putting up good numbers. He's getting up there in his in age. And Brandon Phillips, can only do so much. Out in Arlington, Texas, coming to you from the AL Central, the Twins are up 7-0. Make it 8-0 now in the top of the 5th. Oh, we'll take a pause from that. We have our next caller. It is Cameron Kinzer once again. Kins, you're live on the air. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing swell, Chad.
Thanks.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. We're happy to have you back on the show again. Another frequent contributor and a loyal listener. What's going on? Hello? Kins, you there?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? We're on the air.
Well, as long as you can hear me, that's all that matters.
Okay, well, keep in mind, just remember we are live on the air. So.
All right, cool. Let's get this shindig started.
What would you like to talk about? Anything in particular?
do a Q&A. You can ask me some questions, and I'll give you my answer.
Okay. All right, we can do that. What do you think of the playoffs right now, the NBA playoffs? Any thoughts on that? It's been a big topic of conversation in the last few weeks, a big topic of conversation. Any surprises right now?
No, I think everything is as expected. It's no real sleepers.
So you think the Clippers and Jazz has been going as expected?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, these guys are professionals, and you can lose a game by 30 one night, and you'll win that game by 30 the next night. The NBA is a different animal. Chad, we're in April, correct? We're not in March.
That's right.
So there's not going to be a whole lot of March madness.
That is true. That's true. I mean, anything can happen, but you're right. You're right.
You're right. Anything can happen, but this is April, and this is the NBA, and it's the playoffs. So I think the teams that are best prepared are going to come out on top.
It's a fair point. That's a fair point. And is your prediction of, what was it, Spurs Celtics in the finals? Are you still sticking with that? You stuck with it the last couple of weeks. Is that where you're going with still?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see what else we have here. We talked a little bit about hockey. We've been talking about some baseball. I've talked about some football with the draft coming up, and with some news coming out of University of Miami. In terms of college, right there. Well, let's talk about the NFL draft. Jabril Peppers, the superstar. Jabril Peppers, the superstar from the University of Michigan.
Yeah, he's a Blue Devil, right? Or no, he's a Wolverine.
That's right, he is a Wolverine. And
yeah,
he had a failed drug test.
He did. He did not study for it well enough.
He did not study. Yeah, he did not study for this drug test. That's funny. Would you
like I said, Chad, the people that are prepared are going to come out victorious. And Jabril Peppers was not prepared.
No, he was not. Okay. Well, I mean, do you have any other comments on that, or is it just going to be more about preparedness?
Well, we'll see how much of that becomes an issue in terms of NFL management.
Yeah.
I haven't followed his career, so I don't know if this is a reoccurring issue. But he's a young guy. Young guys make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, he can learn from it, and it won't be life altering. But it's unfortunate. I think he'll lose some money on it, but you just got to move on and keep playing football.
Do you think it's going to affect his opportunities to keep playing football? I mean, obviously you said that he think he'll lose a little bit of money, but in the long run, do you think he's going to learn from this, or do you think that he'll be one of those guys who just goes out and makes the same mistake?
Well, I don't know Jabril personally, so I can't attest to what I think will really happen.
Fair.
All of that is up to him.
Right.
But I think he's got to do some real thinking, and he's representing a professional organization, and he's got to consider himself a part of that and get on the same page as everybody else.
True.
So I think if he can learn from this, then he'll be fine. But if he thinks
if he goes out and thinks he's invincible and does it again,
he'll suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
So, next question.
Do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Fire away.
Will this radio show be occurring in the summer semester?
I've been thinking about that, and I would like to continue to keep it going. I will have to find a way there's a way I can keep it going, through the Gaucho radio station remotely, or if I'd have to do my own, have my own type of setup. But I would like to keep it going. Is that something that you would like to hit? That you'd like to, is that something you would like to happen?
I think you have to look at what your goals are and see if this show is aligned with what you want to accomplish and move forward with that.
Right.
Have you thought about creating a podcast?
Well, this is also a podcast. This show started as a podcast project, but I decided to turn it into a live show as well. Each episode is being posted to YouTube, and you can find those on my YouTube channel.
You have a YouTube channel.
Yes, I do.
Can you put a link on the screen, please?
I will send you a link.
All right.
Yeah. So
I will watch these videos.
I look forward to that. So
You look forward to watching me watch the videos?
no, I look forward to hearing your feedback from when you watch these videos. Kins, we have our next caller coming in. It's been fun having you on the show again, as always. We appreciate you calling in. And
Definitely.
enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll hear from you next show.
I always enjoy being on and talking about sports and talking about Goucher.
Yeah. Yeah.
My two favorite things.
So go. Well. So are you gonna say go Gophers, or are you gonna say go Beavers again?
I don't know what you're talking about.
well. Why don't you give us your little sign off? We'll see what happens.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you Kins. You too. Bye bye.
Go Beavers.
I knew it. Go Gophers. See you later, Kins. All right, that was Cameron Kinzer. And we appreciate him calling in. A funny guy. It's always fun to have on the show. And still doesn't get the fact that we're Gophers, not the Beavers. He will. We'll have to drill it into his head at some point. It will happen. But if you are like Kins, and if you're like myself and would like for this show to continue over the summer, I am going to do my best to make that happen. And I'll keep you posted on that. But like I said, this is going to be on, these episodes are on YouTube. They will be on YouTube. And yeah. So we're waiting for our next caller who had called in during the last, during our call with Kins. If you're listening, go ahead and call now. You know who you are. And here's our caller. It is my dad. Once again, Dad, how you doing?
Hey.
What's going on? You're on the show. You're live on the air. Ken says hello. I got a text from him.
Try to get him off in 2 minutes. That works.
Try to get him off the show in 2 minutes. Kins, if you're listening, I hope you're hearing this. I know you guys will have I'm sure you'll have a discussion about this next time we meet up back at home. He said to say hi to my main man, Barry. that was a text I got from him. That's a text I've gotten from him in the past.
Okay.
So, and I know you've seen those texts before, but Dad, how you doing?
I'm good. Listen, I've been tuning in on and off while we're doing stuff around here. Where'd you guys leave it with the Marlins?
Oh, as far as what? Earlier when I was talking about with David?
Yeah.
In terms of the ownership, with the bid with Derek Jeter and was it Jeb Bush, the joint bid?
Yeah, because they're all talking about it, but according to the Herald,
Ooh.
It's a sale point of $1.3 billion, but they only have $200 million, and they're looking for more funding. So I don't know if it's just premature noise. And the Marlins, they haven't said a word about it. Dave Sampson has refused to say anything about it. So I'm
This is interesting.
my mind open.
This is interesting. Well, let's take a look at the Miami Marlins website.
you're probably not going to see much on there.
That's what I'm interested to see. You know, so yeah, there's nothing on. Yeah, there's nothing on here.
Dave Sampson was quoted when asked about the possible sale. He says, "I haven't said anything about it in the past, and I'm not going to do it now."
Interesting. This is interesting.
We'll see. And you know, Loria bought the team in 2002 for $100 and some million. He's going to make a major amount of money.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the rights to the stadium go with the team or if they go with his business endeavor.
So I guess that comes down to who owns the stadium, right?
Right. You know, the Marlins own the stadium, but if he's the Marlins and he decides to sell the team but not the stadium, I mean, he'd be smart as hell to be a landlord forever.
Yeah. That would be the one smart thing he does. After all, the guy's a moron.
Well, I'm sure that many people would argue the point that
he's
from $150 million investment
to $1.3 billion. Yeah, I know the guy.
$1.3 billion if the deal goes through.
He's smart, but in a scumbag way.
There you go. So he's scart. Scumbaggy smart.
There you go. I like it. I like it. Yeah. Well, what do you think's gonna happen? Do you think the funding will end? Do you think they'll get the funding?
Who knows? I mean, these two guys have pretty deep pockets. I'm sure there's a bunch of people behind the scenes wanting a piece of this. It's a successful team. They've won 2 world championships in 20 years
of existence.
And you know, some teams haven't had one in 100.
Yeah.
So, you know, my partner in crime here points out that it's not being smart. It's just capitalism in terms of how much money he's making. So I think she's right.
Is that Mom?
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Go capitalism.
Okay. Interesting. Well, does she see them? Does she see this bid for the Marlins from Derek Jeter and Jeb Bush and whatever this joint venture is? Does she see it going anywhere? Or
well, she's keeping her cards close. I can't really tell what she's thinking tonight. So
I think that I can speak for all of us though when I say that we all want it to happen.
I think we all do, and I'm surprised that Jeter and Bush have gotten this far. I mean, they don't know each other from Adam, as far as I know. I mean, neither of them has emailed me to tell me how deeply together they are.
Oh, that's
as soon as I get more information, I'll let you guys know.
We need to get that information. They've kept you out. This is unacceptable on their part.
Completely. And if they're listening, Derek, my man.
Yeah, one of the few Yankees I've had any respect for ever. Right?
Absolutely.
So, well, anything else that you'd like to talk about on the show?
Well, I probably missed how you guys are. I don't know if you guys are talking about Goucher's chances to go to another conference championship. I think that's.
I was going to mention something about that. Coming up. Let's talk about that right now. We had a conference sweep. This past weekend we had we beat E-Town, Elizabethtown, and Moravian 9-0 and 9-0. We just went out and took care of business. And we have our last conference matchup coming this weekend this week. On Friday, we're taking on our biggest rivals, the Juniata Eagles. And I know, right? So, and that goes back to, I guess, maybe not my freshman year, but sophomore year is when it really goes back. That was the only team we lost to in conference play. We made it to the conference championships, lost to them. We vowed that we would make it back to the playoffs and that we would beat them in the regular season and, if need be, in the conference playoffs. And we did that and made it to the second round of the national tournament. Right now, Juniata, it's Juniata. So our one conference loss this year was the University of Scranton. We came out so flat. There was no energy in dubs, and it carried over into singles. And we lost 6-3, and that was a wake-up call for us.
Did Juniata play Scranton?
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to bring up next. Sunday, I believe it was, Juniata did play Scranton, and they won 6-3, which is huge. That's something that was good for us in the sense of, but with that point, we need to beat Juniata, and that's the plan. So, if we beat Juniata, we'll have home court advantage for the Landmark Conference semifinals. And if we beat
That's gonna be
Juniata,
huge.
if we beat Juniata 6-3 or better, then depending on how semifinals goes, we would be the 1 seed if we beat them 6-3 or better, and that would mean home court advantage for semifinals and conference finals. Now, it doesn't stop there. We need to beat Juniata, and then we need to beat whoever comes in front of us. For the Landmark Conference semifinals, and then from there to the finals, and then hopefully, we'll make it back to the national tournament, and that would be huge. If we make it back to the national tournament and make it further than we did, or just to make it back.
I think you guys have the Big Mo behind you.
I think we do too, especially
got
after that
momentum
wake-up
for
call
sure.
especially with that wake-up call that we got after losing to Scranton.
Absolutely.
You know-
And I think that brilliant tactical mind, Coach Kincaid, is going to take you there.
I think so too, and we have the team. Our team in some ways is better than the team we had last year. It's in some ways it is, and we need to build off of that. And we need to feed off of the energy that we've had, these last few weeks, and we need to take it into this last conference match of the regular season. And also we have a tough match the following day. It's an out-of-conference match against Wilkes University. But, we need to approach every match the same way. And I think Coach Kincaid has been keeping us on the right path. We're doing it with the things we're doing at practice, and he's helping us motivate. He's just helping motivate us and getting us to motivate each other. So,
Well, I'll be excited to have one or both of us go up and root for the team when you guys win the conference and take it to them. And I know we were talking earlier about the possibility of Carnegie Mellon hosting that conference championship again. I would love to see it.
well, they wouldn't host the conference championship. They would host potentially the first 2 or 3 rounds in the national tournament. That's what it was last year.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, no, but I mean, who knows? I mean, because they're in a different conference, they could be hosting their conference championship if they make it in there. They were last year when we played them in the second round of the national tournament. They were the number 5 team in Division III in NCAA. Let's see what they are right now. They are very good, very very solid program, and when you get to go play when you're playing teams like that, you're really getting somewhere, and that was what we did last year. So hopefully we can do that again, but we'll have to see if they host it again. I'm not sure where it is, where the first round will be, at least for where we are. But as of right now, Carnegie Mellon, according to the NCAA website, is currently 7th in the national rankings.
Damn.
Yeah, so they're very good. Put it that way. But if they,
It'll be a David and Goliath story again, and you'll take them.
yeah, I hope regardless of what happens, just to be back in the national tournament, it was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life, and I think I can speak for the rest of the team when I say that. And I know we all want to be back there, and that's the plan. So,
Excellent.
yeah. Anything else?
No, I'm succumbing to sleep. So you guys stay up another couple hours, talk it out.
Well, definitely been staying up for a while. I got plenty of work to do. But Dad, we appreciate. Thank you for calling in again. It was fun having you on last week and again this week, and appreciate you guys tuning in every week and for your
It's always a pleasure.
questions and comments that you send us. And it's just fun to have you on the show. So
All right, bud.
say
Talk to you
hi to
later,
Mom and
boys.
to the dogs and everyone else, and we'll
Okay.
talk to you soon. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that was our third caller. It was, my dad called in again, and we talked. So we just touched back on the Marlins and talked about some gaucho tennis. That's interesting. That thing that he mentioned about the Marlins, conflicting news reports. The Miami Herald reporting that as of right now, Derek Jeter and Jeb Bush and whoever else is in on this potential joint venture to buy the Marlins. They are, according to the Herald, they might be short in terms of how much they need to purchase the team. They're looking for $1.3 billion is apparently the asking price, and it says they only have about $200 million. I have to do some more research on this. And when I went to David Sampson, the president of the team, he has declined to make any comment on the issue. So we'll see what really happens. You know, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and if the team does get sold. As to, you know, my dad brought up that interesting point about, you know, who will get the stadium rights. You know, will Jeffrey Loria just remain the landlord, or will he sell the stadium too, assuming that he does own the rights? That I'll have to do some research on this for next week's show. And you heard my mom's view on it too. She said capitalism, and we'll leave it at that. But anyway, I think we're gonna leave you here tonight. This is a good place to end the show. So once again, this has been Jake and Chad in the Evening, featuring David Siboney, who was here earlier, and hopefully his intramural soccer game is going well in the semifinals. And to our callers, Bradley, Kins, and my dad, thanks again for your contributions. And everyone else out there listening, episode 4 will be up on YouTube within the next few days. Hopefully tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow, but it will be up soon. And until next week, have a great night.